Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbie. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. On this platform, we discuss authentic urban news across the diaspora and what's happening in Africa. If you're joining us for the first time, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe to my YouTube page. Ladies and gentlemen, we encourage our listeners worldwide to engage with us by leaving a public comment about the topics in the comment section below this audio podcast. Help make our audio podcast and our video podcast go viral by sharing my YouTube page with all of your Facebook friends and any other social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Disclaimer: this content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is based on public available reports and verified media sources. We fully comply with YouTube's community guidelines. We do not promote violence, hate, or misinformation in any form. This audio podcast is available in two forms, audio and also as a written text, in order for us to reach our audience. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our Black media component. I would like to encourage my listeners, again, to subscribe to my Medium page. On there, you can find all of my I would say past transcripts of my written speeches. I provide my Medium transcript in the comment section below this audio podcast. I use this platform to share with people who are on my social groups and people that's on my friends list. I encourage Black artists, African artists, such as authors, poets, musicians, and Black entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs, to make arrangements with me to come on this platform so that way you can promote your books, your business, your music, and if you have a small ministry, then you're welcome to share a 30-minute sermon with my listeners from the global community. After the show, I offer my guest speakers an incentive by teaching them how to create their own podcast, YouTube channel, and Wix website. So that way they can launch their online business or online ministry to the global community. I wanted to do more than just news and social commentary, but at this time, this is where I'm at. It doesn't matter how bad I would like to get my Christian business up and running in Chicago. Without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God-given assignment, which is to build the best African American business or black business within the United States of America, and that is the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. We want to get it popping here in Chicago first for credibility before we expand the business to 10 African nations. And again, this is why I'm reaching out to the global African family. If you're serious about me bringing my Christian business to the African continent, then please help me get my ebook on that bestsellers list. So that way the Black world can take our cause serious. I had a gentleman, I'm not going to say the person's name, that was supposed to come on this podcast on Monday. I spoke with the person, but the person said, they know how to use Zoom and all that stuff. And then when time come for them to come on the show, they didn't know how to get on. So it was very disappointing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving you an opportunity, especially, again, if you have a legitimate business, if you're an author, if you're a musician, take advantage of coming on this platform so that way you can get free exposure. You know what I'm saying? And again, ladies and gentlemen, please purchase my ebook. Again, the whole purpose of me doing these weekly reports is because I want to engage with everyone. Don't be, if you're camera shy, then just use an icon. You know, just long as people can hear your voice, that's all that matters. Again, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you're in a business, you're going to have to speak and let people know about your business if you want them to patronize you. That's what I'm trying to do on this platform. I have little to no support here in my city, and so this is how come I'm online. I'm online to try to connect with other like-minded, I would say, Black Americans beyond Chicago, like-minded African immigrants across the United States, and the global African family worldwide. Help me get my revised book on that bestsellers list, so that way that's going to put me in a better position financially, so that way I can hire Black people, African people, and others. Over here, we're not just we're not just on here running off at the mouth. I'm trying to do something. But again, I'm not getting pushback from white America. I'm getting pushback from Black America, unfortunately. But the key is, that's why I'm reaching out to African immigrants that's here legally. All I'm asking you to do is please purchase my revised book, the ebook that is, for $9.99. Read my story for yourself if you agree with my vision and plan to help improve Black America, specifically Chicago. Then you will automatically become a GERCAM member. Help me run this thing. Me and Sister Renee can't do all this stuff by ourselves. That's why this is, this is a Nehemiah assignment. I encourage African immigrants who live in the United States of America from 10 African nations: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. I understand that you all came over here to live out your American dream, but I need your help. For 34 years, Black Chicagoans have rejected and overlooked my vision and plan to help improve the low-income African American community or the low-income Black community. The reason why you're able to reach your American dreams is because of my ancestors who fought and died during the Civil Rights era to help get African immigrants, Afro-Caribbeans, and other non-white immigrants to this country. Truth be told, the white supremacist financial elites only wanted European immigrants here, no one else. So, I'm just putting that out there, not to guilt trip you, but letting you know they fought and died, my ancestors. I need your help. I'm a descendant of American slaves / freedmen. I want to help my own people. That's how come I'm trying to build this business. And see, once it materialized through your help, of course, working with me and Sister Renee, as well as once we have other like-minded Black Americans beyond Chicago to come to Chicago, we need boots on the ground. So, but this is why I'm trying to do this film, because I got my revised book out there. I have my virtual store out there. My film project is my last attempt. So those of you who claim that you don't know who I am, read my story then. That's why I wrote it, so you can know who I am and what I'm all about. And what this business is all about. No scams over here. Buy the book, read my story. If you agree, cool. Those that disagree, just keep it moving. Um, this business is for Black millennials and Generation Z. So I'm calling upon Black content creators and African content creators who have a large audience. Please allow me to come on your platform to speak about my revised book and my film project. Again, this burden is not mine alone. This is a shared burden. I'm trying to encourage people to join the grassroots community activist movement, to become members, so that way you can be a part of this. I don't want the brand and the vision to die in America. I want to push this vision to the Black world. This is my contribution to Africa's rising. So I'm looking for legitimate artists who are film directors, producers, actors, stage managers, professional fundraisers, technical directors, marketers, who can come to Chicago to shoot our film once we raise the capital. So we're trying to raise $250,000. That's the lowest I'm gonna go, because we want to make a Black empowerment film. Those of you who are serious about doing business with me, please make yourself known to me. Don't wait until I am dead. Work with me while I'm alive. I'm not running for public office. I'm trying to get this business popping. We're going to get it from the mud. That means that from the ground up. Once we get our film project fully funded and made and the proceeds from the film starts pouring in, again, that's going to put me in a better position financially so that I can purchase property in Chicago, Illinois, buy office equipment, hire qualified Black middle-class professionals and qualified African immigrants. I want people that's going to be on my management team or resource team, or you can also call it an advisory board, to have at least associate's degree and above. I want Black attorneys, African attorneys, investors, Black entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and philanthropists. I want to make sure that our business will be effective and successful for years to come. I am called by my Lord and Savior, Jesus/Yahshua, to rebuild Black Chicago, similar to that of Nehemiah, who was called by God to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Nehemiah used qualified engineers, architects, and investors to rebuild a new city. In contrast, I am seeking Black middle-class professionals and African immigrants. And again, the white man is not stopping Black Americans from purchasing my revised book. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying items from my virtual store. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from donating to my film project. That's a personal choice. That's Willie Lynch in real time, ladies and gentlemen. And that's what we're coming against. Got to come against that slave mentality, because that's going to be the downfall of Black America. Again, I've been paying out of pocket for my business title. I pay the city, the state, and the IRS every year. I've been doing that since 2010 because I believe in our Black youth and our African youth. This docudrama will be about my experience growing up in a dysfunctional household and how my extended family, abandoned me. And so I try to use my pain for something good, to want to build something productive, go back to my community, make a real positive impact in that community, and replicate the business to the African continent. Um, Upcoming events. Thursday, February 12th, we have guest speaker Ms. Donna Warren from Freeport, Illinois. Saturday, February 21st, we have guest speaker Samus Maggie Disula from Kenya. Please mark your calendar for our monthly virtual interactive conference, which will be Saturday, February 28th. Again, although we don't have a physical building, we are using this technology to broadcast what we are trying to do in Black Chicago and beyond. On this platform, we're genuine, sincere, transparent, and authentic. This event will help expand your network, enhance your profile visibility, and make more meaningful connection with the global community. We are looking for 5 people from my Facebook page or from my Facebook social groups to be on the panel, so that way we can discuss the president of Kenya. We're going to talk about that video, and then we're going to open up the discussion for Q&A. If you're interested, then please send me a message to my Facebook inbox along with your email address. If you are unable to participate on my YouTube live interactive conference, then please watch the replay, leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section. And most of all, please share my audio podcast with your friends and on any social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. If you don't know how to use Zoom or StreamYard, then make arrangements with me so that way I can teach you how to use StreamYard and Zoom before you come on my platform. And again, if you are a Black artist, African artist, such as author, poet, musician, or entrepreneur, then make arrangements with me to come on this platform so that way you can promote your books, your business, your music, or if you have a small ministry, then you can share a 30-minute sermon with my listeners from the global community. This year, we are determined to get this film project fully funded and made, so help me God. So that way we can get our story on the big screen in order for us to reach the Black world and let everyone know what we're trying to do for my people, Black Americans, descendants of American slaves / freedmen that are trapped in American ghettos, specifically Black Chicago. I am available Sunday, February 15th through Friday, February 20th. I'm also available Sunday, February 22nd through Tuesday, February 24th, Thursday, February 26th through Friday, February 27th from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. American Central Time. Please select which day that works best for you so that way we can practice using Zoom or StreamYard, or if you want to promote your business, your books, your music. So the theme, Wake Up Africa series, President Ruto, Gift to Macron, was pure betrayal to Africans. Classic case of exploitation and neo-colonialism. That's the theme. And also, that's the video that we're going to be watching. And that's what we're going to talk about. Where? YouTube Live, when? Saturday, February 28th, time 2 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. Title of this presentation: An African immigrant journalists claim FBA ideology is dangerous. Why? And Shabuzi pushback from the Grammys after saying immigrants built this country. Our first topic: an African immigrant journalist claim FBA ideology is dangerous. Why? I came across a YouTube video by an African immigrant named Sandra um, Babu Boy Teen. She has a platform called Panya Genius TV. She immigrated from Ghana and now she's here in America. She's been successful in journalism. She also has another platform called Face to Face Africa. She made a video about foundational Black Americans and the whole delineation movement. I'm not going to focus much on FBA. We're going to hit home about the delineation portion of the story. Um, the global African family may not really understand what's happening in America with Black people, why delineation even happened. I explained to y'all these midterm elections are coming up. Expect these Black boules and Democrat shields coming around in our spaces. Every 2 years, when it's time for an election, here they come. I didn't expect this to come from her, though. I usually add some of her videos to my Medium transcripts. We are going to listen to what she had to say, and then let's have a conversation about her perspective. I'm not the gatekeeper of someone's identification. I personally identify myself as DAS FM, which stands for Descendants of American Slaves / Freedmen. Before I share my perspective, let me give you some facts. And that is, we're going to watch this video together. And then we'll talk about it. So just bear with me for one moment, please. Right. Let's see. Okay. Again, I want to encourage my listeners to consider following me also on here, EmmanuelBarbieOnline.substack.com. Right here where I have the cursor right above, right there. So let me get this. And so this is the new stuff that we're talking about today. And now, like I say, I just scroll down. I like this because, everything is, organized, I'm going to say. So we're going to listen to what she has to say. All right. Here we go. Oh, my goodness. Wow, look at that. You see an error. Man. Because the lady was saying a lot of things. So, and that's important. And, I want y'all to hear what she had to say. So, man, I wanted y'all to hear it. So what I'm going to do, see if I can find it another way. Man, it's horrible for that to happen like that because it's not coming up. Let's see. Let me see. All right, here it is, but I don't know why I didn't want to play on mine. But okay, here we go. So let's hear what they're saying over here. And wait till she comes up, and then
what makes a foundational Black American is that we don't have immigrant lineage. That's the thing. That's what makes you a foundation. It's not a group. It's not an organization. It's not something that you join. It's acknowledging the people who are literally the foundation of this nation. Me, on both sides of my family, I have no immigrants in my family. My mother and father, both lineages come from the South. Okay. From the beginning of this country, I can trace my lineage to the mid 1700s on paper, and it goes deeper than that. So that's what we talk about when we mean foundational Black American. We're just acknowledging our lineage and the importance and significance of it in this country, because we are a very unique ethnic group.
I like those foundational guys.
They're so good.
Tariq Nasheed and all. I mean, I don't agree with everything, but they've got a perspective. If your family's been here 400 years, and the descendants of a lot of American slaves or families have been here 400 years, I don't know. I think that gives. I'll listen to you. Like you've
100%.
You've got a point of view that is legitimate, I think.
Yeah. And they're unequivocally heritage Americans.
That's for sure.
100%.
They're definitely heritage Americans, if anyone is. And, someone rolls in from Ghana and gets an MSNBC slot and starts speaking on behalf of Black people. It's like, shut up, honey. You've got nothing to do with this.
Right.
That's
Literally.
a fair perspective,
right.
I think.
And so it's good to actually see them call them out for that. That's actually cultural appropriation. Appropriating the struggle of slavery.
I totally agree.
And the struggle of slavery was real.
My people, it's Black History Month here in the U.S., and I want to wish everyone a happy Black History Month. But this Black History Month cannot be business as usual. This is not the time for surface level celebration posts. It's time for us to ask deeper, harder questions about where we stand as a people and what type of future we're building. Because something deeply troubling is happening in Black America. There is a growing movement within the Black American community that is pushing a narrative that threatens to divide us even further if we don't challenge it head on and expose it for what it is. They call themselves foundational Black Americans. And at the core of their rhetoric is a dangerous idea that the defining origin of Black people in America is not Africa, but enslavement. They want to convince us and the world that Black American history is somehow different from Black history in general, and that it began with slavery. That Africa, its kingdoms, its knowledge systems, its intellectual and cultural foundations is secondary or irrelevant altogether. And that Africans and Caribbeans who came to this country, who fought, organized, built, marched, theorized, and sacrificed right alongside Black Americans somehow do not belong to this story at all. Let's be clear. This episode is not about denying the unique and brutal history of slavery in America. That history is real. That trauma is real. and the fight for justice rooted in that experience is legitimate. But how exactly does lineage or identity begin at the point where oppression forced you to land? Who were you before the first enslaved ancestor landed on U.S. soil? Today we're breaking down this movement, what the foundational Black American ideology actually claims, why it's gaining momentum right now, why its historical framing is incomplete and false, and most importantly, why this rhetoric, if left unchallenged, puts Black unity, power, and liberation at risk. Because when a narrative tells us that Black history starts with slavery, it doesn't just distort the past, it cages the future. And worse, it teaches us to fight each other instead of the systems that trapped us. This is the breakdown. All right, my people, welcome to today's show. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to Pen and Genius TV. I'm Sandra Baby Boateng, and this is The Breakdown, where we center Africa and the Black world in today's global affairs. We're here weekdays at 4 p.m. on most days, breaking it down. So if you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell for alerts so you never miss a new show. And before we continue, please pause and share this episode in your group chat. This is really important. When you subscribe, like, comment, and share, you're telling YouTube that this content matters. That's how the algorithm prioritizes our content and gets it out to more people who need to be a part of this conversation. So if we want more thoughtful, honest discussions like this to break through the noise, please deliberately support them. And trust me, when you like, comment, and share, it really does the magic. It does the work. So we appreciate you very much. Now let's warm up the chat really quickly. Drop where you're tuning in from and what's happening there that we should know. One thing that we should know, we love to keep each other informed here on the show. And also be ready to engage, because here on The Breakdown, we're not just, listeners. We are analysts and co-analysts. So be ready to chime in and join the conversation. And especially with today's episode, I need to hear from you. I want to hear where you land on this, okay? And my people, my State of Africa report is officially out. And as I've said, this is one of the most important pieces of works that I have created. For a long time, I've been searching for something that I just couldn't find, which was an interpretation of Africa that goes beyond the headlines, beyond crisis framing, and beyond surface level optimism. And this report is my answer to that. So if you've been trying to keep up with the constant stream of Africa headlines and still find yourself asking, okay, well, what does this actually mean? Then this report is for you. If you're an investor, it'll help you understand Africa as a real business and opportunity landscape. If you're an entrepreneur, it'll highlight urgent, practical
Okay, come on. Just
as well. Investors, entrepreneurs, operators, the people.
all right. Just come on. Get to your point. Oh boy.
Why me?
Why am I right for the job?
Okay.
We have to define it accurately. So what exactly is the foundational Black American or FBA movement? Well, I want you to hear one of the strongest voices of this movement, Tariq Nasheed, explain what it is in his own words.
What makes a foundational Black American is that we don't have immigrant lineage. That's the thing. That's what makes you a foundation. It's not a group. It's not an organization. It's not something that you join. It's acknowledging the people who are literally the foundation of this nation. Me, on both sides of my family, I have no immigrants in my family. My mother and father, both lineages come from the South. From the beginning of this country, I can trace my lineage to the mid 1700s on paper, and it goes deeper than that. So that's what we talk about when we mean foundational Black American. We're just acknowledging our lineage and the importance and significance of it in this country, because we are a very unique ethnic group. That doesn't mean that we're better or worse than anybody. We are a unique ethnic group with a very unique history here. And we want people to give that the same respect that we give other people.
So let's break this down. At its core, FBA is an identity-based framework that traces Black American lineage to slavery in America. They argue that they are a distinct group and should be treated as such, separate from other people of African descent, particularly African and Caribbean immigrants and their descendants. Now, the term foundational Black American was popularized in the late 2010s, largely through online platforms, social media spaces, and commentary led by figures like Tariq Nasheed. The movement presents itself as a corrective. They argue that for too long, the specific historical harms suffered by Black Americans whose ancestors were enslaved in the United States have been diluted, overlooked, or lumped together with broader Black or African diaspora narratives. And in one narrow sense, that critique resonates. U.S. chattel slavery was unique in its brutality. It was racialized. It was hereditary. It was legally codified. And it laid the economic foundation of the United States. That history deserves recognition and justice. But the FBA argument does not stop there. The movement also pushes back against the popular idea that Black American history begins in 1619 with the arrival of enslaved Africans in Virginia. Instead, they argue that Black American history began nearly a century earlier. They point to a lesser known but historically documented moment. In 1526, Spanish colonizer Lucas Vasquez de Ayllon brought the first recorded group of enslaved Africans to what is now the South Carolina-Georgia coastline in an attempted Spanish settlement. Shortly after the arrival, those enslaved Africans revolted. They resisted captivity. They disrupted the colony, and their uprising contributed directly to the collapse of the Spanish settlement. The surviving Spaniards fled back to the Caribbean. And according to historical accounts, many of the formerly enslaved Africans were left behind, where they integrated with local Native American societies. Now, this moment matters. It represents one of the earliest acts of Black resistance on what would become U.S. soil, an early example of Black autonomy, survival, and cultural blending, and a chapter of U.S. history that is too often excluded from mainstream narratives. And that history should be told. But here's where the FBA framework takes a sharp and dangerous turn. Instead of using this history to expand our understanding of Black origins, the movement uses it to redefine the origin story itself.
There's the thing, Glad, where people want to make us generic Africans. The term African American is a misnomer. That was a term that got popularized in 1988 by Jesse Jackson, the Congressional Black Caucus, and the Democrats. No, we as a group, we never called ourselves African American. I think the term African American was in a book in the 1700s by a Black preacher. I forgot what the guy's name, but that was the only time we would see that term during slavery. That was a term that we generally didn't use. Really, it didn't get popular until the late 80s. And the term was given to us, and that term was given to us to make us comparable to immigrants. It was to say that we're just like an Italian American. We're just like a Mexican American. So that was to basically almost sanitize our unique history here. And that worked against us. The term African American is a misnomer. Elon Musk is an African American.
Right.
You know?
South African American.
Yeah, but African American still.
Correct.
There's a lot of people from places like the Sudan and other places who are African Americans. And, they have a lot of vitriol towards us here. So the term African American is a misnomer. So we wanted a term that was more indicative of who we were and who we are. And that's where foundational Black American comes from.
Rather than situating these early Africans as part of a long African civilizational continuum with languages, cultures, technologies, and histories that existed long before they ever encountered Europeans.
The painful shingles rash can last for weeks and could disrupt work.
The FBA framework increasingly treats enslavement and resistance on American soil as the starting point of identity. And from that framing, another claim emerges. Many FBA proponents argue that they are the foundational builders of this nation, that Black Americans descended from U.S. slavery are not just central, but exclusive to the Black struggle in America. And this is where the danger deepens, because that argument quietly asks us to forget something critical. It asks us to overlook the fact that many of the most influential figures in Black liberation, culture, and political thought were immigrants or children of immigrants of African descent, some of whom also had ancestors enslaved in the Americas. Marcus Garvey, Harry Belafonte, Kwame Ture, C.L.R. James, Louis Farrakhan, Ivan Van Sertima, Cicely Tyson, Shirley Chisholm, and countless others. Because their lineage does not fit a narrow definition. Are we really going to say that these figures who shaped Black consciousness, civil rights, political representation, Pan-African thought, culture, and global solidarity were somehow outside the Black American struggle? Because history tells a very different story. Black liberation in America has always been diasporic, always global, always interconnected, from abolition to civil rights, from labor movements to cultural revolutions. Black progress in America was never achieved in isolation. So when foundational begins to mean exclusive, when recognition turns into boundary policing, when justice becomes a zero-sum identity contest, we're no longer talking about history. We're talking about fragmentation. And fragmentation has never led to freedom. So now let's rewind the clock, not to 1619, not to 1526, but thousands of years earlier. Because here's the fundamental problem with any framework that treats slavery as the beginning of Black history. It accepts, whether intentionally or not, the same logic that enslavers used. The logic that said, you had no history before we encountered you. You had no civilization before we claimed you. You became a people only after we broke you. That is not just historically false, it is psychologically damaging. Before a single African was forced onto a ship, Africa was not a blank space on the map.
All right, that's enough. Ladies and gentlemen. Let me get back to my presentation. All righty. So, let me see where where am I gonna go with this? Just bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. So with this delineation movement, first of all, nobody is saying anything against, I would say the people from, I would say we don't have any beef with African immigrants or Afro-Caribbeans that's coming over to this country, but we're not going to let somebody try to tell us that our ancestors, what they went through, like try to brush it off. Like, well, before um, your ancestors were taken away from Africa, that, your history belongs there. No, our history belongs here. It was started with enslavement because we were away from Africa for 400 years. That's what made us a different people. I'm just saying. Now, for example, the sister, she's from Ghana, and they have 20 plus ethnic groups. Why didn't you mention that on your platform? Having that many ethnic groups is dangerous, divisive, and you all should be coming together and having unity among Ghanaians, right? So let me get this right. It's okay for Ghana to have all those chiefs and tribes, but Black Americans ain't bothering nobody. We want to focus on fixing our own issues. That's somehow dangerous. You cannot expect Black Americans to do something that you're not doing in your own homeland. Y'all still have colonial borders that were created by the white supremacist financial elites. Africans are not practicing Pan-Africanism. For example, Ghanaians was protesting against Nigerians. That's not practicing Pan-Africanism. Not all Nigerians did anything bad in Ghana. Yet, nobody is stopping Pan-Africanism from happening on the African continent today. You are independent, and yet you sit here and keep the same colonial borders, but you won't say nothing about the homeland, not practicing Pan-Africanism. How are you going to expect Black Americans to carry the whole diaspora on our backs, but y'all are not practicing Pan-Africanism in your own homeland? If you want to show me some Pan-Africanism, then remove those borders. Then Africans can travel freely through the continent. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter about what tribe. We are all Africans, right? You expect us to do something that you're not doing in your own homeland. Y'all have all those resources under your feet. There should be no poverty in Africa. And because y'all are not practicing Pan-Africanism, the European and the Western nations continue to take what they can from you. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger should be a model across the African continent. Democracy does not work for Africa. Some of y'all have a problem with those African leaders because they want to be free. They're practicing Pan-Africanism, yet you're going to tell Black Americans that we should practice Pan-Africanism, that you're not practicing in your homeland. I can't just show up in Ghana and get whatever I want unless I go through proper channels. That's not practicing Pan-Africanism. That's a process that the diaspora has to go through to get citizenship. And we're being treated the same way as foreigners. We got to pay and be viewed as foreigners instead of being viewed as displaced Africans. Black Americans, again, have been in America for 400 years. After one or two generations, how are we going to still have a connection to the motherland? It doesn't make sense. That tells me that you have no clue about slavery and what really happened during slavery. Our ancestors were not allowed to keep their African language, customs, or religion. They were forced to speak English, and this also gave rise to the Willie Lynch mentality imposed on my ancestors by the white supremacist financial elites. In Latin America, they were forced to speak Portuguese, especially in Brazil. In the Caribbean, they were forced to speak French in Haiti, Spanish and English in other Caribbean places. We slowly start to become a new people from generation to generation. Our story starts in slavery. Sarah, whether it's us here, whether it's the brothers and sisters in Brazil, whether it's the brothers and sisters throughout the Caribbean. How are you going to tell us who our descendants of enslaved ancestors about a time that we have no knowledge of, and we have to regain that knowledge? Sarah, you're being dismissive and arrogant at the same time. Dismissive of slavery in that manner. We talk about our history in this country. You're speaking from a immigrant viewpoint that has benefited off of our ancestors, what our ancestors have done, and that's fine. You made a success for yourself. I'm not tripping about that. But I have an issue when you're trying to tell a whole lineage of people that our story doesn't matter. It matters prior to what happened to your ancestors. That's what you're saying, and that's not, we're not, that's disrespectful. She wants to convince us and the world that Black American history is African history. The story in the Caribbean is different from our story. Latin American history is different from our story. Everybody has different stories in their history. Being dismissive of our history and dismissive of what our ancestors went through, telling us our history doesn't start with slavery. It starts over there in Africa. Sarah, you cannot dismiss people's history. And that's what Black people are talking about. When they say you're being disrespectful, when some immigrants come over to this country, wagging their fingers when they migrated here or immigrated here. How you're going to come over here and lecture us, the people who've been here 400 years. I'm just saying. In Gurkai, we would practice unity with other like-minded Black people and African people. We will respect each other's culture, history, and learn how to do business together. That's what I'm all about over here. If it wasn't for our ancestors fighting against white supremacy, your homeland would not be free of independence. We got the civil rights movement popping, and we got headway. Don't believe me? Do the research. Right after the Civil Rights Bill, all of a sudden, African countries and the Caribbean nations started becoming independent. Black Americans stood with Nelson Mandela. He was a hero to a lot of us. We understand what Black South Africans went through based on their history. Black Americans boycotted the apartheid government. We are exclusive to the Black struggle in America. Marcus Garvey got his start here with the UNIA. He was supported here in America by Black Americans. Black Americans believe in what he was speaking about. When he was deported back to Jamaica, he tried to do the same thing, and they didn't want to join Marcus Garvey movement. And he was upset with that, and he went to the UK. Skokie Carmichael and others, no one is discrediting them. We didn't care where they came from, Minister Louis Farrakhan came under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I haven't heard anything against Minister Louis Farrakhan. He stood on business. The conversation has nothing to do with the people she's mentioning. The conversation is a 2026 conversation. We don't have a bunch of Minister Louis Farrakhan's migrating over here. I respect everybody's identity and lineage, whatever they want to be called. It's not my business whether I agree or disagree. That conversation is not unity. Sarah, we have to create boundaries in order to protect our culture from others. Now we're starting to gatekeep our culture. Yes, we're drawing boundaries in our culture because we respect our culture and our ancestors. We start off as Negro History Month by Carter G. Woodson, who were the Negroes, not an African, not a Caribbean. We were called the Negroes. Negro History Week eventually turned into Black History Month. The Democrat Party is threatened by delineation. Let me tell you why. The Democrat Party needs a minority coalition with us in it. All immigrants could be in a minority coalition. All non-white immigrants. White women could also be in a minority coalition. White LGBT could be in a minority coalition with the Democrats. A minority coalition won't work unless we're part of it. Why? Because they are using our story and picking back off our struggle to get funding and set-asides. We don't get anything because they are practicing benign and neglect policies against descendants of American slaves. If we're not a part of that minority coalition, they don't have a story. It's dangerous to all this white philanthropist money drying out. Since we're talking about our lineage, that's going to put pressure on the Democrats to do something specifically for Black Americans. The Republicans aren't threatened by delineation because they know that they don't owe Black people anything. The Democrats owe Black Americans everything because we have been voting for them for the past 60 years. If we're respectful, then if you're respectful, then we're cool with you over here on this platform and in my virtual business. We can work together, but unity is a two-way street. I created this platform so that we can have open, honest conversations about Black issues and African issues. We don't have to call people out of their names, just tell the truth. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share with your friends. This will help get the ball rolling. Our second topic. Shabuzi pushed back from the Grammys after saying immigrants build this country. For those of you who watched the Grammys, they had Shabuzi up there giving a speech and all. I could explain this to you, but I'm going to have somebody else do it. Fair use, Roland Martin. And so just bear with me. I want you to hear what he had to say on his platform. Now, I do want y'all to understand that Roland Martin, he is Black Boule. You know, he's part of the fraternity, and you know, I mean, he stumps hard for the Democrats. That's all I can say. Oh, okay, hold on. right, just bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go back to my Substack. I'm gonna scroll down. Well, go here because that's my current you know what I'm talking about. My current presentation. Scrolling down so we can get the Roland Martin's video. Okay. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I didn't want to hear what she had to say. Um, I just wanted to get those things out there. Um, all right. Oh, my bad. I forgot to say fair use Roland Martin. Yes. Okay. So again, what got him in trouble was that he made a distinction between himself and everybody else. He didn't say black at the Grammys. He said immigrants. He lied about who built America, trying to steal our accomplishments. Black didn't come up until the black grassroots media got hold of him. All this lying and scamming is a big issue. It's a new day. You will not get on national television and perpetrate a lie that immigrants built this nation. That's propaganda from the Democrats. Don't try to lay claim to our legacy. You have to, you have no part of it. You're not part of our lineage. You had your chance to claim us um, behind the microphone. We're checking everyone that come over here to this country and make it very clear about our contributions, and we will not allow anyone to whitewash our history. When I turned on my microphone 3 decades ago, I told my listeners, African immigrants and Afro Caribbeans that I was encountering on college campus were acting hostile and standoffish towards Black Americans. They looked down on us, and I saw a lot of the African sisters, dating white men. And so I was like, man, those are the same people that colonize, your country and stuff, and you over here trying to get with them. But it is what it is. I didn't really like it. I have to be real, but it is what it is. But anyhow, they looked down on us, and not all of them, but some of them was acting that way. So I just kept my distance from those that acted funny like that. They fled over here, not Europe, not Asia, not Australia, but to the United States of America. In this country, we run the yard. Black Americans, descendants of American slaves / freedmen. If I'm out of line, then let me know, and I will shut this podcast down. Over here, we do tough love and tell it like it is. No sugarcoating. That's how come the title of this podcast is called Help Stop the Genocide. You can't sugarcoat genocide. I'm telling the truth. Then give me the black fist emoji in the chat room, and be sure to hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. There was never a right to return movement on Africa's part. I'm just being real. The grassroots community activist movement is about raising the bar in Black America. We want to separate ourselves from the enemy within. Long before the so-called quote-unquote tethers came to this country, during our ancestral enslavement, there were other melanated individuals on those plantations who informed the slave owners about uprisings and rebellions. After the end of slavery, these same coons and sellouts were allowed to dwell among us. The so-called tethers learned how to treat Black Americans from these domestic sellouts. Within the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago, there will be no con artists, because we're going to separate ourselves from these people. Con artists, Black boule, degenerates, Democrat shields, hardened criminals, pedophiles, off-code Negroes, and urban terrorists. Because again, those are the enemy within within our culture. We're going to have protocol in place to weed out such individuals. Like I say, once we able to, get this, I would say get this film project fully funded and made and all that stuff. And, we're going to, this is going to be in the film as well, but we're going to build Gakai of Chicago. Started on the west side of Chicago. We're going to cover Austin, Garfield Park, and North Lawndale. That's on the west side of Chicago. And we're going to let the whole Black community know who we are, what we're there for. We're there to try to strengthen the Black family. We're there to encourage the youth to get out of the streets, get out of gangs, and put money in their pockets so that way they can feed their families. That's what I'm trying to do with this business. Again, a lot of pushback. 34 years. But hey, this is where I'm at. This is all I can do. And again, I don't want to just be sitting up here. I'm not doing these reports for my health. I'm trying to get my listeners to interact with me. That's real. No matter how bad I pray and all that stuff, again, God give us free will. I can't reach Black Americans here in Chicago. It is what it is because of that slave mentality. But once they see this business materialize, once they see that I'm hiring people through the business and all that stuff, and all this stuff that I've been talking about coming to pass, mark my words, everybody in Chicago is going to want to be a part of us. But again, you know what I'm saying? I'm standing on business. In my business, we're going to have mandatory orientation. I want to make sure that we put everything out on the table. I want people that's going to become GRCAM members, to sign the community pledge, pass our criminal background check, and submit their thumbprints to be placed in our database. Anybody that tries to undermine us, there's consequences. For example, if anybody that's going to try to join this business and want to try to promote the LGBT, we're going to give them 2 warnings. You know what I'm saying? Over here with M1, that means nothing else on earth matters. We're melanated first. We want to solve Black issues, point blank. You know what I'm saying? Not to sit up here and complain about the white man and the government. We want to solve our problems at the grassroots level and do the best that we can within our power. And so, let's say, yes, they try to promote the LGBT, they're going to get a warning. They get 2 warnings. The third time that person or person's name, address, and photo ID will be placed on our Judas list, and they will be barred for life. Anybody that tries to steal money from the business, the same thing. We're going to make sure that we do a thorough investigation, make sure that, we find the perpetrators that's, trying to steal from the business. They also will be placed on the Judas list and for everybody to see. We'll excommunicate with those persons, and we also going to take them to federal court. Those that try to do that to us, steal money from the business. I'm just saying. Other things I talk about in the book, you have to read it. But again, I'm doing the best that I can. Again, I can't make people buy the book. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, the sad part about all of this, the dope man has more support from the Black community than me. And that's a doggone shame. But hey, it is what it is. In my business, you don't have to run from the cops because this is a legitimate business. It will be a legitimate business once I, generate enough capital to hire my staff. But right now, since my book, I wrote the book in order to sell. I'm selling my ideas. I'm selling story. got a virtual store. Now I'm trying to do a film. What more can a brother do in 34 years pushing this? Very frustrating. And I'm getting up in age. I'm like, good Lord, how long is this going to take? But again, God give us free will. That's all I can say. All right, let me go back to what I'm saying. So, Black Americans have been programmed to think that anyone who is melanated is automatically in solidarity with our agenda. History shows us that some of our worst enemies look just like us. It's time that we get smarter about who we let in our business circles. We've been taught that Black unity means accepting anyone who's Black. That we should automatically trust, support, and align with people just because they share our skin tone. And we should all have we all have woken up based on Barack Obama. He was the biggest failure of all. It is what it is. I mean, I voted for him twice. I thought that the second time he was going to do something for specifically for Black Americans. He didn't. And so that woke my eyes up to that. Black faces in high places. And while that sounds beautiful in theory, in practice, it's got us infiltrated, sabotaged, betrayed, and even killed. It's time that we have to have an honest conversation about the fact that being Black is not enough. Being like-minded and on the same page is what matters. Once we raise the funds for this film project and the proceeds from the film starts pouring in, then I can move this business from behind the computer into the community, make our presence known there. That's all I'm trying to do. Let me ask you something. How is that unconditional Black unity working out for us? How many times have we been stabbed in the back by our own people that looks just like us? These Black politicians don't do anything for us. Why? Because they're in the pockets of the white supremacist financial elites. We have to, I would say, get candidates, from the soil. I'm saying from the Black grassroots. Support them, help them get an office to represent us. That's all I'm saying. How many of our movements have been destroyed from the inside by infiltrators who share our complexion? The Congressional Black Caucus, NAACP, and the urban leagues are not designed for us. It's a front, meaning Black faces in high places. The white supremacist financial elites will never fund this organization, and I don't expect them to do so, because this is going to solve a lot of our problems, this business. This is why I'm reaching out to the Black grassroots and the global African family to help us. I'm not doing these weekly reports, again, for my health. I'm trying to get people that's on my friends list, people that's in my social groups to be involved with this. Our objective is to transform our Black media component by seeking out and amplifying ordinary Black voices, African voices, business owners, educators, and visionaries who are shaping the future. We believe that every individual have a unique story that can inspire, educate, and empower others. On this platform, it's more than just a podcast. It's a movement dedicated to bridging the gap between Black Americans and African immigrants. Over here, we want to bring ideas and turn those ideas into action and also into reality. Through meaningful conversation, we provide a safe space where innovators can share their journey or challenges, where whether you are an entrepreneur striving to grow your business, an educator shaping young minds, a visionary working towards social change, or turning your aspirations into reality. We want to hear your story and in the near future turn your stories into, I would say, books, then into Black empowerment films, just like I'm trying to do with our first docudrama, quote, Hood Liberator made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins, unquote. Chicago, Chicago will provide resources on the west side of Chicago to, to the low-income African American community or low-income Black community, and eventually on the south side of Chicago, in an effort to to improve and build a more unified community by building a bridge between the Black community and the African immigrant community. I believe this will bring about effective, positive change within the Black community. Our top priority is community safety and job creation for our members and students. We aim to address challenges faced by Black families and offer solutions through our programs and services, if given a chance. Every person deserves to be treated with respect, regardless of their past. We will create a safe environment where dignity is preserved and restored. We believe in the power of change. Our programs and services will be designed to support fundamental life transformation, not just temporary assistance. We aim to transform lives by providing affordable housing, comprehensive support, and pathways to self-sufficiency through our Second Chance program for formerly incarcerated individuals of nonviolent crimes, homeless individuals within the community, and former gang members who have changed their life around in order to make our community a better and safer place for local residents to live. Again, if given a chance. I don't want to be doing this another 34 years, ladies and gentlemen. Trying to make this happen. And those that's not interested in what I'm trying to do, just delete me off your friends list and go on about your business. It's just that simple. Currently, no African nation recognizes Black Americans. That's why through Gakayo Chicago, I'm trying to connect with other like-minded Black Americans and like-minded African immigrants to help me move my virtual Christian organization from behind the computer by first getting our story on that big screen to let the whole Black world know who we are and what I'm trying to do for my people, Black Americans who are descendants of American slaves / freedmen. For us to build the best African American business or Black business within the United States. Again, that's the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. We will help solve all, Gakayo Chicago will help solve all our social problems in America if given a chance. Gakayo Chicago will also expand to 10 African nations in order for us to do international trade with our brothers and sisters on the continent. Now, unfortunately, we can't do that right now under Trump because Black America, like I say, had 34 years to get. If it was up to me, this business would have been up and running in at least 10 cities in America and in at least 5 African nations. But I'm still on first base. It is what it is. The civil rights generation don't run things anymore. The Black grassroots is taking our rightful place. There was a different behavior back in the day, but today we're checking all these groups who think we are going to be a doormat so that you can live your American dream off our oppression. Not happening. When y'all behavior starts getting salty and greasy, then we will check you. This is why delineation came about. We understand that we're still not really free, and that's why we're still fighting against white supremacy. But at this stage of the game, we're not able to fight against white supremacy until we heal from this slave mentality as Black Americans and as African immigrants heal from their colonized mindset. The bottom line is that we understand that we're not free. We understand that we are in a system of white supremacy. The only people who are standing on business are the ones who spend times around us. Remember what was happening 3 decades ago. The conversation in America was different. After the civil rights era, Black Americans became Americanized and have embraced the colonizers' ways and culture. I notice a majority of Black Americans have developed a narcissist attitude against the community and our inner city youth. The white supremacist financial elites were certainly hoping that flooding our inner cities with drug, guns, and liquor stores would wipe out poor Blacks, but thank God many of us survived that trap. It's been so long. It's been a long haul here. People, you had a whole bunch of people mocking us, insulting us, claiming that we didn't have a chance. All that pro-Black stuff. They were in the middle of a societal change. And while individuals like myself who were not afraid to speak truth to power and to lead some people were ready to give up their old programming. They were still thinking that we should not rock the boat too hard. Black Americans wasn't ready for this new Black movement called GRCAM. Before the Wall Street movement, Black Lives Matter movement, ADO or ADOS and FBA, GRCAM was making way online. On Black Planet alone, I had 40,000 followers. MySpace, I had 50,000 followers. The main issue was not many people wanted. The main issue was people didn't want to exchange emails with me. So when those websites shut down, I lost all of my contacts. You don't become strong by bringing a whole bunch of people in here. You become strong by weeding out the unfit and narrowing down your best and brightest supporters. This is what we're on in 2026. What's happening to all those people who were mocking our pro-Black stuff? They were hoping that we would give up. They were hoping that we would just go away. Our numbers have been growing. This is the result of a movement that has continued, and our numbers will continue to grow. I want to give a shout out to all of you who have been listening to our podcasts and leaving public comments about the topic in the comments section. I once said something about other groups. I said Asians have their own agendas. Latinos have their own agendas. The Jewish community has their own agenda. LGBT community have their own agenda. What is the Black American agenda? Those who identify as the descendants of American slaves / freedmen. Our agenda is Black economic empowerment, anti-Black hate crime bill, lineage-based cash payment, reparations for descendants of American slaves in the amount of $5 trillion, because the wealth gap between Blacks and whites in America is $10 trillion. And in order to make things right, we need half of that wealth. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this audio podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Thank you all for listening to our audio podcast and for joining us on this stream. We greatly appreciate it. Again, I'm going to challenge everyone who's listening to this audio podcast. I need you all to support our film project so that we can move beyond cyberspace and get our story on the big screen to let the Black world know who we are and what we're trying to do for my people, Black Americans that's trapped in American ghettos. quote, Hood Liberator Made in Chicago, The War Against Willie Lynch Begins. You can be a part of this docudrama by contributing to our crowdfunding pages, which are on GoFundMe page, our Buy Me a Coffee page, or our PayPal Giving Fund page, which will help fund marketing, promotion, clearance, legal, and general expenses. If you are a U.S. citizen, then I recommend that you donate to our PayPal Giving Fund page because you can use it as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit faith-based community advocacy organization. You can also purchase items from our virtual store or purchase my revised book. The ebook is $9.99. Softcover book is $15 plus shipping and handling. We appreciate your support. You can find all of the links below this audio podcast in the comments section. Thank you for listening to our YouTube live or the replay. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing. If you are new to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast, welcome to our safe space where we discuss Black issues and African issues. We do this every week. This will conclude our audio podcast for today. We will see you on the next episode. But before I go, I have to point out something to you all. This is the worst African immigrant I have ever seen in my life. And, we got to talk about it. Okay? We have to talk about this stuff. All right, I'm coming, so bear with me. Ladies and gentlemen. Right, going back here. And I'm going to show a couple videos too as it pertains to, some TikTok videos. And again, how to find my my book and all that good stuff. Okay, let's hear what she has to say, ladies and gentlemen. Right, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you want to listen to that more, just click on there. Okay, and you can find that again on my Substack page. Okay, this is something else. Right, ladies and gentlemen, just saying, just saying, just saying. Now, this guy, I'm not, when you get an opportunity, just, listen to him. But basically, this is the worst African immigrant I have ever came across. His name is Austin Chin. This is an old video, back in 2021. Yes, it's old, but I just want you to know. Yeah, so this man was trying to run for governor and in Michigan. And see right there, candidate for Michigan, governor wants to end Black History Month. Now, this is what I'm talking about, global African family. People like him that's coming over here. And so they're causing tensions. So that's why a lot of Black Americans don't want to, work with African immigrants. But all African immigrants ain't like that. And hey, I'm trying to get the business popping here first, like I say, for credibility. So when I do come to Africa, I can sustain myself. I can come to Africa to bring economic tangibles to GRCAM members and to Black South Africans, because that's where we're going to go first, to create jobs and solve a lot of the problems in South Africa in exchange for dual citizenship for Black American GRCAM members. That's my way of trying to help my people. So you can look at these other videos on your own, like I say, I don't have stuff, when I bring receipts, Yeah, it's talking about these Black politicians for illegals, and they can't even vote. So it's just sad, the situation that we're in. But it is what it is, So what am I trying to do with all this? Again, I wish that all the Black women that's on my friends list, I wish y'all would work with me, because look what you've done for Kamala Harris. Quote, a Zoom call of 44,000 Black women raised 1.5 million for Kamala Harris in 3 hours. And you click on that link below and you can see all that stuff. Black Americans, I'm just saying, as a collective, I'm clicking this. As a collective, we have $2 trillion. And that's something positive. But the problem is, Black Americans spend all that money patronizing all these other groups, helping them get rich and, all that stuff, help fund, keep their pockets fat and all that stuff. But over here, you'll see, I still don't have any donations at all for this film project. And we're in the second month of 2026. Want to cry that, there's no job or Black businesses in the, in our inner cities or stuff like that. But hey, if you ain't going to help patronize us, how in the world you expect us to, create jobs and stuff? So here's my book right there. Here's our GoFundMe page. Just want to show you. No donations. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. How you expect me to do my job? Trying to start my own business so I can hire Black people and African people and others. That's why I got to do this film. Book is barely selling. Here's another, this is our PayPal. that you can donate over here to the film project and stuff. No donations. See, can't say I ain't trying to do something. I'm trying to build something positive. Here's my virtual store. Here's the items. That's all I have. And I have to pay these people. It's not for free. I have to pay them to be advertised on their websites and stuff. So I'm actually losing a lot of money, but just be glad when I can get this film project fully funded and made and, move from behind the computer. Again, this is my credibility, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, that this is the end of, or this is going to conclude our show for today. Thank you. Peace and blessings. And please purchase my ebook and read my story. Put me on blast, because I don't want to be doing this another 34 years. I'm doing the best that I can. But again, God give us free will. And I'm authentic over here. I want to work with Africans. I want to bring my business over to the African continent. Work with Africans that want more out of life in the urban community as well as in the rural community. All right. That's a wrap.